Hello, gamers, and welcome to the PCC, the Prime Championship Circuit. For those folks who are new to us, we are a community-based tournament who have a love for Predecessor, just like you, who have a goal of uniting the community through the love for competitive gaming. Can we have a "We Love Pred" in chat, please? My name is Ardog with a triple G, and I'm your host for today's Swiss event. I am so honored to be here. Welcome to the best of the best of the best in competitive Predecessor gaming. Many have come to conquer the crown, and only one team will rise above all to claim the title of PCC champion. We'll take you through the Swiss stage, through group stage, all the way to the main event on April 20th and 21st. Get ready for non-stop back-to-back action, fierce competition, and unforgettable moments as we make history in PCC number 7. We all know Predecessor has opened its doors to free-to-play and is now in open beta. So that means we've got Xbox players, PlayStation players, and PC gamers playing this fantastic game. In the world of MOBAs, we know every split-second decision can make the difference between victory and defeat. And today, 26 teams from all over the world have rise to the challenge and continue to push the boundaries of what's possible in the realm of Pred. But only one team can be crowned PCC champion. Cheer on for your favorite players or your favorite teams. But you know what? Esports isn't always just about the games. It's also about the community, the camaraderie, and the shared love for competition. Ladies and gentlemen, take a seat and witness the moments of triumph, the underdog stories, and the unforgettable solo bolos, and not to mention those objective steals that leave us on the edge of our seats. Welcome to the PCC. I am joined today by Mugiwawa and Lance. Lance Cecil, one of our skilled and brilliant casters in the game, talent coordinator at PCC, now joining us at the desk. How are you doing, Lance?
I've got topography all up and down my arms today, Ardog, and that is just a fancy way of saying I've got goosebumps. I've been waiting for this for like 3 months. I can't wait to get into it.
It's been 3 months. We've all been deprived of the PCC. And of course, over to my left, I have Mugi, statistics enthusiast, game analyst, and coach. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I can't wait to start diving into the first Swiss format of the esport of Predecessor, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna have like a lot of great matches, and finally we can get like who is the number 1 seed without like any like nitty tricky.
Yep, this is our first ever Swiss event at the PCC. This is a very new format for us. And of course, tomorrow is our group event. But for those who aren't familiar with how Swiss works, basically, all teams are placed into a single stage bracket and will consist of 5 total rounds with a single game per round. Everybody starts off 0-0, and they'll play a single round in round 1. Round 2, winning teams from round 1 will play other winning teams, and losing teams will play other losing teams. Round 3, those who are 2-0 will play those who are 2-0, and those who are 1-1 will play those who are 1-1, and so on and so forth. Essentially, at round 5, we'll end up with 16 teams by the end of today who will advance to our group stage tomorrow. This is a way for us to ensure that each round of matches is more balanced, and of course ensures that it's a fair way for us to find and discover who our next champion will be. For those in the chat, you can type !bracket to see what the current standings are during our Swiss stage. You will find every single roster and every team's current score if you guys are interested. And of course, we're still raising funds for our prize pool and the PCC organization. You can type !support in the chat for the GoFundMe link if you like what you're seeing from us. And of course, to support your favorite players, your favorite teams. A lot of these people, they've dedicated themselves to competitive Predecessor gaming. And so far, we've reached the $1,000 incentive goal. Together as a community, we've unlocked an all-star event, but we still have yet to unlock our benchmark goals for the $3,000 and $5,000 mark. A cutting to the core 12-hour podcast episode for the $3,000 incentive. Of course, with your beloved PCC crew. And if we hit our 5K incentive, we'll be doing a special event with the proceeds going to the charity of the top donors choosing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the community for the support. We appreciate every single follow. Your subscription on YouTube means a lot to us. We're also here on Twitch. Find us on Discord, TikTok, X, as well as Instagram. Every single one of you in the community is appreciated. But before we dive into the action, we're going to be talking about our first game. I know everybody is hyped up and excited about this first game we're going to be watching. It's going to be Dirty Lake and the Boys versus Euro Trip. Okay, Lance, I know you know a lot about D-Lab. Time and time again, they've shown up and shown out here at the PCC. What can you tell us about them?
I think D-Lab is one of our most consistently well-performing teams. They've made the finals a couple of times, very consistently get to the semifinals in our events. Did have a little bit of a power trouble for Lauber this morning, so he's without power. They had to sub in a different offlaner for them. So losing one of their top 2 or 3 players, at least for the first game of the day, hopefully not too big of a hurdle for them to overcome. And if somehow they do end up losing it, that's the wonderful thing about our new format. They're going to have opportunities to play multiple games so they don't get eliminated right away, have lots of opportunity to come back and still get a good seed in our main event, even if they don't have Lauber for this first one. But they still got Toasty. Hope Toasty did his calisthenics, did his stretches today. I don't want his back hurting when he's got when he's got Lakeinator in there on his backpack, carrying him around the duo lane.
That's right. And of course, there's a roster change with North in the jungle. And this team has always reached our semifinals and finals, so they're definitely one to watch. But on the other side, we've got Eurotrip. Mugiwawa, what can you tell us about them?
Well, so Eurotrip is kind of a bunch of players that always, like, before tournament kind of start to get together. They don't have a lot of experience scrimming together. I think that's a team that got formed like 2 weeks ago at most, but they're all like very well-known player, at least on the EU side. We're gonna have like Kailes on the offlane, which is very well known for his Feng Mao, but starting to expand a little bit his hero pool recently. We also have Kilso in the jungle. Little story, initially it was Junior that was like their main jungle, but in the end they're gonna opt for Kilso, which is a person that kind of gravitated towards many teams and subs regularly as a jungler for a lot of team screaming. So true, he doesn't have a main team, but he has a lot of experience in the competitive scene. Then we have Romauer in the mid lane, which is also like very well known. And then we have Samwise and Legends up for the duo lane, which is once again player that have a lot of experience in competition, but they never really stick to a team and they always try to make everything happen. So it's kind of a wild card in that Swiss format because they have a potential because they're a strong player, but they don't have a long-standing history like Dirty Lake and the Boys have. So will they be able to overcome that lack of synergy that naturally comes from the fact that they're not super experienced together or not? It's a question of that match.
That is definitely the question indeed. And before we head into this draft, I know we just had this recent patch, V.16. There are a lot of these gamers, they've been prioritizing, just based on what we've seen from previous tournaments, picking or banning Argus. Before we head into this draft, Mugi, what can you tell us about that?
Well, Argus is actually like very interesting because I feel like we're gonna have like two very different splits on the teams. There is team that consider it's absolutely like completely utterly broken. It's S++ tier. You should never let it in the hands of the enemy team. And I truly believe that there is other team that actually like believe is not that broken. And I can't wait to see those team what they had in plan with letting the first pick Argus for the enemy team and how they are going to counter that. Because like Argus true is super strong. It's a mage with insane amount of damage, insane of that amount of objective damage as well to get like Raptors, Fangtus, All Prime, this type of things. But it's also like in a sense, if you dive on him, his ultimate is not that great. If you dive on him, when he doesn't have Ether Crystal, suddenly like it's very easy to kill. So he has some weaknesses, and so I wonder if Argus is going to be like kind of the Morigesh of PCC4, where Morigesh was so strong and suddenly people adapt against it, and now Morigesh is never seen. I don't think it's going to happen to Argus, but I think he's maybe slightly overvalued by many teams because they like experience against it, but he's definitely a strong pick.
And lastly, Lance, I know everybody loves or everybody knows you love Gadget. Is there a particular hero that you're really hoping that you'll see in these games?
So, as somebody who is going to be honest about my biases, I am cheering for D-Lab in this first game. I'm American born and raised. I'm always cheering for the NA people. I need to see Giles not get Feng Mao. I've been watching a little bit of Eurotrip scrims preparing for this game. The man's a one-trick. There's really no other way to put it. He plays Feng Mao, or he doesn't play anything. So, I would love to see somebody play Gadget, as I always would. However, I just need to see Giles not on Feng Mao in order for me to feel really good against D-Lab, especially with Lobber being out.
Yeah, it really depends. If maybe D-Lab doesn't even know that information, and what if they let that Feng Mao through? But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this draft. Look at that. Okay, Mugi, you talked about Argus being a picker ban. Is there another hero that we should be seeing for top picks or bans?
Well, like it seems that at least like for PCC 6 and also like Fang Boost 6 and also like the Nation Cup, it seems to have been a trend recently in competitive part that it's really like focused on trying to get like the strong front line first. We talk about Rampage, we talk about Quang, we talk about Rictor, and that's really like usually like the character that are a little bit like fought for in the early stage. We can add on top of that like the Argus that just joined the roster and also Bellica because it's still like super strong despite like her rework quote nerf, she's still like super dominating and has the potential of like being able to still like being flex, which is something that is very appreciable when you're at the beginning of a draft because you don't want to lock yourself into very specific situation. So I would assume that probably we're gonna like, I would say from Eurotrip, like since I assume like the left side is the first pick, probably going like for the Argus unless they really like practice it and see a little bit like once things can happen. Usually team kind of love to go for the Rampage also when it's open, but I know that Killslow is very like efficient on like a lot of different jungler. He loves the crunch, he loves the contest, he loves to go for some old pick in the jungle, so maybe they don't want to prioritize the Rampage too much. So this first ban gonna be interesting and will probably give us a little bit of the story of what Eurotrip is interested in securing for themselves.
Okay. It sounds like we are actually having some technical difficulties, so we are actually going to be watching a different game this time around for the first matches here. Hold on a second, everybody, as we try and figure out who we are going to be watching. Thank you so much for your patience, for tuning in. But you're right, Mugi. There's all of these players, they have so much up their sleeves. All these heroes, you have to be able to play at a top high level. But now for our first game of the day, we're going to be watching Jumping Jacks versus Indecisive instead. So just going over these two different teams, who knows, right? There's so many picks and bans that can happen or can or we'll be able to see instead, right? But just going over at the Indecisive roster, they're pretty nutty right now. If you type !bracket, I'm also going to be doing this right along with you. We've got so many players to keep track of, and if you type !bracket, we can pull up every single players and every single team. Indecisive, they are one of the teams that we'll be watching today. So going over the players, we've got Morose, Import, Shin, Neft, Mancu, MT, and Ray. Lance, what can you tell us about them?
So, for me, anytime the Hefty Nefty is on a roster, you have to discuss him. He has won not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 Fang Booth championships. He has also won 1 PCC championship, easily the most decorated professional predecessor player that exists on the planet right now.
And there we see, there's our draft. We've got an Argus ban. Mugi, take it away.
Yeah, so I guess like Indecisive, looking really probably to secure the Rampage first pick. We all know how Import is a demon on the Rampage. This man has so much impact, and yeah, we talk about Neff, but also Import and Shin, both winner with even worse timing of the previous PCC event. Manq, Neff, and Morose, like all winners of the Nation Cup with the France team because like they play together. So there is like a lot. So apparently we might be like maybe missing a ban here. And so Jumping Jacks deciding to secure the Bellica first, which is something that, in a sense, that means that we're not scared about your, like, maybe it was Rampage ban, I don't know, but if the Rampage is still open, I assume we're going to maybe see a Rampage Rictor snap pick on the side of Indecisive, because, like, those two tanks together rock into Replash, and suddenly, like, you have a person that is dead every single time those two abilities are up.
Let's think about this, though. Maybe they went super big brain, Moogie. They don't ban anybody, which leaves another OP hero up. The other team can only pick one player or one hero. Then you get two OPs. It's the secret tech. It's probably not true. It sounds like we just got it through. The first ban's actually Kwang. So that emblem's just not up there right now, but I think that is a very good ban. I hate playing against Kwang. I love playing him. Hate playing against him, though.
And I feel like it's a good ban, but at the same time, exactly what I was saying. Like, normally, like, the three tanks you see is Kwang, Rampage, and Rictor. And by first picking Bellica, that means that you offer all the tanks to the enemy team. So now on the side of Jumping Jacks, like, the only character that is still available as, like, a good frontline is Steel. You also have Sevrog, which is an option. But for instance, in the Nation Cup, like, Steel was picked by almost every team, but it had only 18% win rate, which kind of tell me that it's not like the best front line. Like, it's a very good one, but it's not at the level of a Rictor and a Rampage. And to be fair, like, Import on Rampage, like, I never want to play against that. Like, you're a mid laner, you can never walk into the river. You're a dual lane, you can never get out of your tower. You go to an objective, you're never safe of not getting the objective stolen by Import that just jump in and just like stole it with like his hunt for himself. So here I feel like Jumping Jacks already like put themselves in a very tight spot, and I'm quite curious what they are going to bring to be able to defend against that. And so we see that they have the Zarus and Steel, so they still try to secure a little bit of like some front line, as we have seen. Probably also like the Zarus pick to not let it to Moros, because Moros is very well known as the Grutos, but he kind of have extended his hero pool towards the Zarus. He play also other things, but that's the two main character that Moros are playing. And so I guess like we're trying to find like some solution here, but like neither of those characters, if they take a rock, they're gonna survive really after like the wombo combo. So they have to execute that properly and probably start dominating a little bit on the off lane.
I do find that interesting, though, that they do blind the Zarus at this point, because like you say, Morose plays a whole bunch of Grux. And if Grux can Grux on pretty much anybody, it's Zarus. You get him in that cage, and you kind of just waste the Colosseum if you Grux the ult if he's not about to die from the damage that comes through to it. So it leaves Morose one of the opportunities to get onto one of his most comfortable heroes, but they're going to lock in what, in my opinion, is definitely a top 2 or 3 ADC in the game and take that Drongo. The library lane, it looks like, might be coming out of the duo lane for Indecisive here with a double silence.
Yeah, and this lane is so deadly. Like, I feel like Rictor is a super strong support. Of course, you need to land your hook, but sometimes I see people like picking the Rictor with a Twin Blast or like a Kira, and suddenly like one of the weaknesses of Rictor is if you go for a hook and you're not dangerous, then it's very easy to trade back. And with a Twin Blast, that's an issue. Another problem that Rictor has is his pushing power is very limited in a sense. And if you go with a Kira, suddenly you just get shove wave into your face and you do nothing against it. With a Drongo, like you have best of the both world. You're very dangerous. Every time you get hooked, you're dead because Drongo has insane amount of damage, level 1, 2, 3. He never falls off because all abilities does a lot of damage. And on top of that, like then you can also like good pushing power. We get like boss ban coming up, so we decide to remove Res. That's a character that can be a little bit annoying in the dual lane and not easy to interact with the Rictor because he has a lot of range. And here we don't want to see the Gideon that will complement this composition on the side of Indecisive. That would be like very, very, very strong. Even though I guess like for Shin, the Howitzer is still open, and Howitzer into Bellica is something that they love. But I guess Jumping Jacks is keeping their option open with that Bellica that can still flex mid or support.
It will have to see what they decide to go with. The next ban, or not the next ban, I'm sorry, the next pick should be coming in pretty soon. Still some options available. They have some flex, honestly, at this point. Richter doesn't have to be the support here. You could take him off lane if you really wanted to. You're not seeing a whole lot of it, except for out from some specific players. I saw that look on your face, Moogie. What do you got? You got some inside information?
It's just that Richter on Moros, that's not something that I think exists, actually. But
I wasn't expecting it either. He likes to be somebody that can really get in there to the backliners, to the priority targets, and kind of chop them down. But they are going to pick the Howitzer up, which does give a lot of single target damage to be able to blow potentially the Bellica or whoever they decide to lock in as the ADC up. I think Howitzer has finally gotten back to the spot where he's a good, like, strong pick again. For a while, he had kind of seen some nerfs and had been in a spot where he wasn't quite at the level that the other mid laners were at, starting to creep back up into the power, and you love to see it from the Rat in the mech suit.
And this Howitzer will once again like be so hard to deal with, because usually Howitzer is a very strong mid lane, but he has like very like jarring weaknesses, and those jarring weaknesses is playing against Richter, playing against Rampage. But as we see, Indecisive already have them. Like the Hook and the Rock are very strong against Howitzer. Another thing that can be strong against Howitzer is Decker, but if you go Decker, that means you put the Bellica in mid lane against Rampage Howitzer, and that's so hard to deal with. And here we can see Lance is happy with like the gadget being picked up, and the Murdoch has the last two picks. What does it feel to have like that gadget locked in with the Zarus Cage plus the Steel as a setup?
So, if I see somebody on my solo queue team lock in Zarus and I'm the mid laner, I pick gadget no matter what. It does not matter. One of the matches that I absolutely hate playing gadget into, though, is Howitzer. I feel like he's one of the mages that can match the range, or even kind of outdo some of the poke. Clears a little bit faster after he gets a couple of items online too, so I would say that the indecisive mid laner may have a small advantage there. Might get flamed in chat. I'm a gadget main, not a skilled gadget main. Let's remember that, everybody. But I'm really interested to see who they're going to pick up. If they're going to go with the traditional Grux pick for Morose here for indecisive, or if they decide to round it out in another way. I just got to say, if they pick up Grux for this count, they do go over the Feng Mao, which is good because it gives them a little bit more damage. But I was going to mention the amount of CC they would have if they picked Grux up. Feng Mao kind of rounds it out a little bit better, gives them more opportunities to get to that backline, blow up this Murdoch, blow up this Bellica or Gadget, try to do what they can to get through the steal. It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out.
And that is the draft.
The idea of the... Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Moogie.
And I feel like here this Feng Mao can also like offer some insurance in the late game, because like this mid game comp of Indecisive is absolutely like very dangerous. And but having this Feng Mao allow like to have like a scaling Moros on the side that will always like grab on in the end, if any case anything happen.
Yep. And of course now we have the draft. Moreau's probably going to be on that Feng Mao. Lance, really happy to see that gadget. But looking at the indecisive team comp so far, Lance, you kind of mentioned that there's going to be that single target damage, that Feng Mao dealing a lot of damage as well. What else does the other team offer? What does Indecisive's team, what did their team fight look like?
So it all starts with a boulder being tossed. If that boulder lands, the person gets either silenced immediately from Drongo or hooked and then silenced. They probably get reaping dashed onto by Feng Mao unless the hook gets pulled close enough that Feng Mao can just walk up to them. But then they're going to be looking at their teammates because they're going to be in the base. They've basically got the option to delete whoever they hit with the rock, like maybe outside of Steel if somehow the rock connects onto Steel. But the team fight starts very obviously most of the time from Indecisive here, unless Feng Mao can get a good flank and get like a spot with no wards, get behind to where the backline is. It's gonna start with Import on the Rampage, chucking out the rock and trying to catch the first person.
And of course, we mentioned how there's that library lane. Lance said that there's the silence from the Drongo, silence from the Richter. Mugi, what does this duo, Murdoch and Belka versus Drongo and Richter, what does this matchup look like for them?
Well, to be fair, it's also like a lane that is very good at disengaging and have a lot of damage. So they have tools to be able to fight back. The thing is, if the hook connects, like the Indecisive is going to dominate absolutely that lane. If the hook doesn't connect, they have good tools to punish back. But at the same time, here I'm quite curious about how the jungle is going to come into the mix. I don't know if it's going to be Steel or if it's going to be Zarus, because both options are open, but they have to be careful because also Belka and Murdoch is a very juicy lane to get ganked by a Rampage. And so like they have tools, but probably they're going to play like defensive and use the long arm of the low to try to impact other lanes.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, you want to watch game one. I want to watch game one as well. We all do. We have our British duo casting game number one for us. TJ, DJ, and Falcon. Take it away.
Thank you so much, R-Dog. And I'm going to savor this because it has been 3 months since I've said this sentence. So indulge me a little bit here, but welcome to the casting desk, everyone, for game number one. I am not F6 and this is not Ego. It is TJ, DJ, and Falcon alongside me for this one. And Falcon, we had a little chat about some of the drafts that we were seeing between Jumping Jacks and Indecisive. Kind of the tale of what we see in comp Predecessor, right? Single target lockdown pick versus everyone press the alt button and hopefully everyone dies.
I mean, it's definitely the case, and you can easily see which comp is what. And, I mean, looking at the two team comps, it does feel almost in a way that Indecisive are saying, we're just going to beat you in the lane, and by the time your team fight comp is online and you are going to try and 5v5 us, we are going to be so far ahead that it doesn't even matter. And, I mean, the players are good enough to put that off as well. Import, I mean, he's picked Rampage is probably one of the best junglers in the game, being piloted by one of the best junglers in the game. And against Ace Zarus, he's probably going to have the run of things, and we're going to have to see if that is the case.
I say it's one of them MOBAs that can be kind of dominated by the skill shots users, but when you have some of the names on Indecisive, we can just run them down quickly, you know, like some Morose, Shin, Neft, Manq, all of these players that are so well known within the Predecessor community. It's no doubt whether or not those skill shots are going to hit. Looks like we have got a cheeky little invade in towards that red side of the Jumping Jacks jungle. You can see here that Spots are cool. Could be playing the Steel in the offlane, so this makes it a Zarus inside of the jungle.
It's opposite of what I thought was going to happen. I did expect the Zarus to be against the Morose's Fame out in the offlane just to make sure that at least he could go even. It's going to be a lot harder for Sports Are Cool to be even with the Fame out, with the Steel. With the sorry, let me just say that. The Steel is going to be a lot harder to deal with import in the jungle compared to the Zarus, just because of how slow it is and how long it takes. But in either case, I think we are definitely going to be looking at these junglers just because both of them are capable, especially at level 6, to impact all of these lanes. And honestly, outside of a Whiplash, both of these lanes are going to be kind of just a stalemate of farming up here.
Because I want to just highlight that a little bit more about that jungle matchup. What are we expecting the opening minutes to be here? Because it looks like both junglers are kind of taking a very similar start. You know, they're both starts on the red side. It's going to be taking one of the camps away on their opposite side of the map. So what lanes do we think they're going to be impacted first?
It's probably going to be the mid lane. At 3 minutes, the river buffs are going to be spawning, and a lot of times we do see a 2v2 in that situation. Both of these junglers are wanting to impact the game early on, and in a 2v2, so we got Gank in the dual lane here.
Yeah, that's already a very early blink blown by Tanjiro as well. You just saw Manq and Nef hitting that level 2 advantage just a fraction before Sully and Tanjiro did as well, and immediately getting that resource blown on the left-hand side.
Yeah, just getting that level 2 slightly forward, and now that's going to be a big hit, not just for the dual lane of Jumping Jacks, but it allows Import to go for a gank over there. Morose is going to get caught for a gank in the dual lane. He's only level 2, but should be able to escape because of his weakened dash.
Yeah, Just good use of that mobility from the Feng Mao kit. Doesn't have to burn his blink as well. But that's the first gank going to be made by Hinata on the Jumping Jacks team. Just see Import as well, hovering over on that right-hand side as well. So what's it called? Might not be aware of this. He doesn't have a ward. Going to take the boulder, definitely. Going to be aware of that now. But just to relieve a little bit of that pressure, and also going to secure a Scion buff for himself as well.
He's got the hunt up, so there's going to be no real chance of it being taken away. It's interesting Import's rotation there. He just left most of his blue side jungle to go for that gank, just to make sure that he could hold that lane for Morosu, who has returned to lane. Whilst Hinata, he went for that free camp on the side of Indecisive lane and then went for the gank, and now has the entire blue side. So he's actually going to be ahead once this first clear has been complete. Import is doing the 5 camp, but Sportical has seen it.
Having a bit of a scuffle inside of that jungle as well. Of course, Import has the luxury of being able to secure those camps away with the hunt, and also having Morose just to his right as well. So spots are cool. Going to be chased out of this jungle, and immediately this information will be given away so they know exactly where Import is as well. See Hinata just on the blue side, just taking that free camp by the duo side here. But it has been, aside from some wayward ganks towards the right-hand side, a bit of a farmathon so far.
It's not what I expected, that's for sure. It's going to be, I mean, it's down to the junglers, because both of the junglers are trying to do much as they can in the early game. We see Hinata going to look for Sin in that mid lane, but they're just going for the counter jungle, going to look for any sort of invade they can. And once Import does get this 2 camp, he can use that Blast Plant to just walk over and jump over at the side, as we are seeing here. And now he is in the lead because he managed to steal 2 counts where Hinata only stole 1. And his blue side is still up. He hasn't actually taken blue buff, and it's nearly 5 minutes into the game, which is definitely not normal for these types of games.
Import definitely going to be feeling the happier of the 2 junglers as well. I kind of feel that Hinata is almost forced to kind of either make a play or maybe look towards an invade. You can see him doing that hunt towards the free camp towards left-hand side. Takes a boulder. That means he's going to have to miss the blast flower, has to blow his blink to get over the wall, but there's a full follow-up from Indecisive. They want this jungler. They're going to hunt him down. Import leading the charge. Shin going to hit the last ability, and that's going to be first blood secured in the mid lane, but Import's got to be careful. He's running away. Slow mines are thrown down. Try and stop this. He's even picked up himself a green buff, and now Quantum's in so much trouble. The Seeker Destroyer, good blink to get away. Quantum runs, but he cannot get to his tower, and Shin's going to grab 2 kills in the mid lane.
And we got killed in the duo lane as well. It looks like Sully did die to the duo of Neft and Manku. And there's so many micro plays in that fight, which was just so impactful. The stun onto Hinata that stopped him from getting the jump over, forced to blink away. And that allowed not just Import, but also Sin to get over that small ledge and follow it through. The green buff being the rear buff, just having a random chance of it happening. If it was any other buff in the game, Import would have 100% died. So a bit of luck, definitely a bit of luck for Indecisive on that case. But sometimes you just need a bit of luck, right? And that's going to be a good lead for the side of Indecisive come this 6 minutes mark. And that's on to Sin as well, who is playing this Howitzer, which I haven't really talked about yet, because Howitzer has come back into this meta. And once he gets ahead and gets those about 3 items and the obelisk online, you are going to be nearly 2-shot in the carries on the side of Jumping Jacks.
There are maybe some targets, that those R2000s could be looking at Tanjiro on this Murdoch. Also, Quantum playing this gadget as well. And also Sully on the Bellica, so he's not really got much that front line outside of the jungle solo. Another Riplash connects through from Manku. Cypher sort of comes down. But Sully's just going to be ran down as he tries to flee through his own jungle. And Neft going to get his 2nd kill of the game. Tanjiro can only watch and has to be forced back towards his tower.
Just makes it look easy. Tanjiro did try and do some damage to Neft in the meantime, but Manku is so tanky at this stage of the game that it didn't really matter. Even if Neft wasn't there, he could have killed Tanjiro on his own either way. And now Import has got that level 6, he has got the beam off. Sin is in danger, but it's not in that much danger because of this happening.
Yeah, Import hitting that ultimate and with the Maker Vein on top. Quanta throws down the Tesla Dome, but Shin and Import already got out of that damage way before it dropped. It's going to be a very quick and easy kill in that mid lane. Indecisive pulling ahead 5 kills to 0.
And it's like I said just before the game, it does seem that Indecisive are looking for these lane dominations. They're looking for these leads in the early game, and then they're going to convert it before the team fighting prowess of Jumping Jacks comes into fruition. And that starts just taking an early fang tooth. It's going to be 7.5 minutes into this game. It will take a little while. And Hinata is around. I imagine both junglers only have a 500 damage hunt at the moment, so it could be a bit dangerous. With the duo of Indecisive here, it shouldn't be too much different.
So just going to be taken away and marshaled away back towards that river. Still got Mancu hitting onto him as well. Tanjiro and Sully arriving. Draw members here, 4 versus 4 potentially brewing. And Mancu only has half of his HP as well as the first speed gets on the connect. Good whiplash towards Hinata. That's a blink away from Mancu trying to get away, but Tanjiro follows with the bookshot and able to get the first kill on the board for the jumping jacks. They're still on the hunt. They still want more, but it looks like Indecisive have been able to get away. Import even taking down Sully as he makes his escape.
It's a 1-for-1. Never mind. It's a 2-for-1 for Indecisive. Morose wants a bit of action in the off lane. He is bored of all the rest of the team taking the highlights. Taking the highlights
Also Hinata...
anyway. Look, I was going to ignore that.
Hinata also dropping.
It happens, okay? It happens. We're not going to we're going to move on from that one. But yeah, it did look like Indecisive did go maybe a bit too aggressive. They did have Jumping Jack's duo come around, and it looked like they were going to be collapsed upon. But luckily for Indecisive, with the tankiness of that Rampage and the Richter, it gave them enough time, and they're back again.
So we saw going to connect on from Sully, but Mancu missing that important rip flash. So once again, this dual lane going to get away with just that trade as well. Mancu starting to feel the pressure when he does not hit that rip flash as well. You can see Sully with the seismic assaults. What we've seen time and time again, what Lieutenant Bellica can do in the competitive scene of Predecessor as well. Many games have been won by a decisive seismic assault, and maybe that's what the Jumping Jacks might have to look for in this game as we're approaching that 10-minute mark on 9.5 minutes on a board. 7 kills to 1. Already the first Fang Tooth dropping for Indecisive as well. It's quite the uphill battle for the Jumping Jacks.
I mean, it's not just that. I mean, I think the CS advantages for the side of Indecisive. Never mind, we got Junk in the dual lane. It looks like the Colosseum is going to be used. Mancu is going to go down to Handra, and Hinata is going to get that extra stack of power on his Zaros as well. But as soon as you show yourself on that dual lane, they have the Prio in the off lane of Indecisive. So Import and Morose are going to take this mini prime at the 10-minute mark. So it's been a few minutes. Morose is going to be giving it over as well. So I expect Sports Call to have a very difficult rest of the lane because of that enhanced stats, as well as the enhanced minions. And if Morose can gank that tower, which is already under half at this point, he can then rotate and impact at least the mid lane of Indecisive as well.
And has to be so careful as well, because you can see in the mid lane the pressure being exerted by Shin on that howitzer, pushing Quantum out of the lane. He's taking the reset, so this red jungle all of a sudden becomes so much more dangerous. As you can see Shin able to move in and support Import in here as well. Hinata is just going to work that one out as Shin makes their appearance known, but also with Morose following around. Hinata having to blink over the wall, but there's a lot of jumps in this kit, and a landmine from Shin is a death sentence for Hinata. Looks like Behemoth has popped as well, but they take down the jungle.
Yeah, that's not Jumping Jack's jungle anymore. Import has the complete lay of the land. His water core is quite low as well. He might die to Morose if he's uncareful. He has dashed in, and the damage is going to go on to Morose. He hasn't got the ultimate yet, so he hasn't got that execution. But Sporticle is going to be forced under tower, and although Morose has got the damage, he's not going to go for that tower dive just yet, which is a smart decision. Considering how much CC Sports Arcall still has on that steal, he is still a steal at the end of the game. But, I mean, it's only 12 minutes in. It's looking dire.
Yeah, it's Mancu's hits one of them max range rip flashes, and Sully just body blocks out to hell and back, and he's going to be dropping in the dual lane. Tanj goes for the blink on towards Neff. He's trying to confirm a pick onto the Drongo. He wants this shutdown. Neff leaves his blink to the last moment. It gets to the blast cone. He's able to get away, and Mancu just simply going to chase down Tanjiro. The bookshot buys a little bit of time. It's aggressive play, but it looks like Tanjiro will be punished for it. Mancu gets the kill, and Neff stays alive.
I mean, at one point, like, fair enough, you went for a trade, you tried to get the shutdown, but on the other hand, you used the blink offensively, and now, anytime Mancu hits you with that Whiplash, you are basically guaranteed dead, and I don't think that's worth even going for that 1-for-1, because you were going to die at the end of the day. Let's not put it out there. He was not escaping it as soon as he blinked in. And he's also lost, how many minions now? What, 2.5 waves worth of minions? That is just going to go under the tower, and Tanjiro is going to have to try and deal with. So that trade went a lot worse than Jumping Jacks really would have hoped for. At least in the mid lane, Quantum is not doing too bad. He hasn't got the most CS in the world, but you've only died twice. Which, it sounds bad, but visually compared to the rest of the team, it's not that bad at all.
Kind of, I like to think of it as a bit of a butterfly effect here in a competitive game Predecessor. Just one moment from that, all of a sudden domino effect. As you say, Tanjiro blinking down, so not gonna have to blink for the next fight or that next whiplash hitting. He's losing 2.5 million waves, and Neft on this Drongo is just able to just snowball that lead in the left-hand side. We know how much of a power farmer Neft can be, but this means Indecisive can walk over towards the second Fangtooth of the game and have the confidence as well to call them morose, but Spotical is here as well, so we might get our first 5 versus 5. Indecisive still will be favourites to win this one due to that lead, but anything can happen. They have a lot of lockdown on their Spotical is going to go without for the lockdown. They're going to try and take down Shin, and they will grab the mid laner for Indecisive as they do pick up second Fangtooth. That is here, so is Morose on the hunt for more. Quantum's going to be to target the Spotical, hit by a Whiplash, hit by the Boulder, hit by the Skewer, and that's going to be the Steel biting the dust. Neft gets the kill credit for that one. They take the second Fangtooth and get out with a 1-for-1. Import pops the big mode, good size assault comes out from Sully, throws the Boulder, good dodges away from that. So it looks like the fight finally ends.
Although all 10 players were there wasn't really a team fight. It looked like Jumping Jacks were just a bit too late. The Fangtooth went down a lot faster than they thought, and by the time they could turn around onto Indecisive were already backing off at that point. 1-for-1 at the end of the day. I think if Hinata maybe got a good Colosseum, it could have gone the way of Jumping Jacks, but with Tesla Dome being used on just a sole target, it wouldn't have mattered either way. Morose is now also in the offlane. He has got mini wave, and because Sportical also reset, he's going to get that tier 1 tower in the offlane as well. So just add insult to injury at that front. And look where Import is. He might even look for another tower dive on this Dura lane. If not, go for the counter jungle. And now, I mean, it's going to be a sub 20-minute Fangtooth 3, which is another 8% stats. What?
Thank you. That was a disgusting Whiplash on towards the stairs. Tanjiro don't even know what hit him. He's going to have to sit and spawn for 15 more seconds. He can maybe work it out. Indecisive also going to take down the tier 1 tower. Shin making a move over from the mid lane as well for a landmine on towards Sully, but Sully at least able to get around it. Boulder Toss connects, but not going to have the follow-up damage.
I'm still just amazed by that Whiplash. How did he? Could he even see Sully in that situation? Because what? Anyway, it doesn't look like ping is affecting Manku whatsoever in this game, and I mean it's a strange sort of period because there's nothing actually for Indecisive to take at this moment in time. You've only got the tier 2 towers left on decided Jumping Jacks, and it is a bit too dangerous to go that aggressive this early on in the game. They are still, all of them, sub level 12. You only got 2 at level 11 anyway. And basically, you're just waiting for the next mini farm to spawn, because you can go that, and then you can go straight into that third Fangtooth. And that's when you're really going to start putting the pedal down onto the Jumping Jacks. And I don't think Jumping Jacks can really contend with either of those.
I like how you say that it's only after the third Fangtooth that Indecisive really puts the pedal down. It feels like they have been that pedal has only been on the floor this entire game ever since the 5-minute mark when he saw that first kills inside of the mid lane. Seen Neft dealing with a 1 versus 2 here between Sully and Tanjiro. Could use some shrapnel cannon to get a bit of distance here, but members starting to arrive, and Neft still hitting the shots. Going to pop the Liberate, gives himself the shield, but Tanjiro finally gets a shut down on towards Neft, and that's going to feel good because that felt personal. It's not going to be for free though. Mini Prime traded on the right hand side, given to Import.
It's not going to contend a mini farm. That is really the best case scenario. At least you get a good shutdown onto Neft, and you give it over to Sully as well for the Murdoch, so he's going to get a decent amount of gold from that. It's given it over to Import, which I think is the correct decision at this stage of the game. He's going to be able to impact whilst Rose does continue his split push juicy in the solo side, and basically Import's level 11. Who is killing him at this stage of the game? Because I don't think anyone on the side of Jumping Jacks can really do that. And I don't know if these robbers can hear us, but could we have a quick scoreboard? I just want to have a look to see what the CS differences is between the entire teams, but I'm not sure if we're able to do that. Thank you very much. Oh my god, that's nearly 200 CS at 17 minutes. I thought it was bad. I didn't realize it was that bad. We got 70 CS lead in the off lane. We got about 50 CS lead in the jungle. Mid is pretty good. There's only 20 CS lead in that front, and another 50 CS lead in the carry role. Yeah. I don't know how to commentate on that.
Falcon.
Look, we know they're
You know,
EU, we know
it's-
Nest on a team, but
Yeah, that's important to mention as well, is that, of course, Indecisive, a team made up of EU players as well, so they are playing on ping. But we know that these players are kind of nuts when it comes to the farming, but that is actually unreal here. And I think it just goes to show as well, when you have a team like Indecisive, you only need to take one look at like the individual player profiles of these teams to see where they are. I think, you know, Neft is either top of the leaderboards on Omega.City, or has got like multiple accounts in that top 10 as well. And his CS numbers are absolutely unreal here. Looks like Fangtooth, the next target going to be spawning. Indecisive are here for the cooldown. They have priority of this pit as well. Even with 4 members, Jumping Jack still not willing to jump in towards the pit just yet. Tanjiro, Hinata, spots a call. Moving around to that right side, going to take the explosive panic, going to drop down in towards the pit. We're going to look towards the fight. Big Mo's going to be popped by Import. Simply turns attention towards Sully, stuck inside the silence. That's going to be Sully down as well. Fangtooth even an afterthought, but it's still going to look for this fight. A Coliseum throne. Import securing that Fangtooth, giving them the power bonus. And just these Jumping Jacks might be dropping 8% quicker as well. Riplash is going to be cleansed away from Tanjiro to get him away. Hinata on this escape as well. Jumping Jacks tried, but Indecisive still walk away with more.
It's just Jumping Jacks are not organised in that front. It was just Sportical and Tanjiro going, Sully going in at that stage, and they weren't together. Sully basically got destroyed as soon as they jumped in as a Bellica. Desert Dome and Coliseum were not used in tandem whatsoever either. And if you're going to be playing like that, Indecisive comp is just better. There is no real competition on that. In the sort of pick scenarios that were happening in that team fight, Indecisive is going to win that every single day of the week. And, I mean, it's not impossible. I'm not going to say, like, the miracle can't happen at this stage of the game, but it's looking worse and worse and worse, because in 15 seconds, all Prime is spawning, and you better believe that Indecisive are going to be doing that within a minute of it spawning. And again, I don't think Jumping Jacks can even really walk in at this stage, because Indecisive will just turn back onto them. They'll use Import and Manku to just completely isolate at least the front line. And Neft and Shin are just so strong at this stage of the game that they can delete anyone.
And just really suits how Indecisive wants to play as well. Just the fact that the objective has spawned has already pulled Jumping Jacks over towards his side. Especially I've got to connect. Manku's in a bit of trouble here. Uses his Rift Walkers to get a bit of safety. Throws down the skewer on towards 2. Not finding the damage just yet. Manku's still on the escape, trying to get away, but the reinforcements have arrived. Coliseum thrown down. Import goes big mode, and Import's going to be taking a kill. Kill credit goes towards Neft. A good double cycling assault coming out from Sully, but there's just no damage in this comp, and that's going to be a boulder hitting. The Tesla Dome comes down, but they simply walk through it. They do not care for that ultimate. Tanjiro goes into the ultimate. Import with the waiting arms was there ready for it. 3 more members going to drop. Manku's on the hunt for more, but Indecisive, another team fight victory outside the all-prime pit.
And that was a 5v4 for Indecisive as well. Mauritius has been split person this entire time. Might be looking for a pick on the offside, but will take his prize as the inhibitor either way. And it did look dangerous for a second. Manku was separated from the rest of the team, but he managed to delay for such a long time using his Rift Walkers and the Skewer that it allowed the rest of the team to get there. Import was able to at least isolate Hinata, who did use the Coliseum. And although the Coliseum is a strong use of an ultimate in this game, it doesn't really matter if you haven't got any backup. The rest of Jumping Jacks was stuck in that stairwell, and they just can't fight into this front line of Indecisive. Now they take that all 21.5 minutes on the clock. The inhibitor in the dual lane has been taken. They are going to go reset by their last couple of items that they will need for the siege, and with most likely a 4-to-1 split with Morose in that side lane. They are going to be sieging these last 2 inhibitors.
It's this scoreboard really does make for kind of painful watching here as well for the side of the Jumping Jacks. With their composition, it kind of requires all 5 members to be working in tandem and working together, but unfortunately, with how Indecisive are playing here, you mentioned about Neft and Shin, the Talisman players, even Import as well on this rampage has been able to shut down whatever the Jumping Jacks have been trying in and around these objective fights. They're going to be stuck on the defense here, as Indecisive are going to start the siege. The left-hand side already fallen from Moroses split pushing just moments ago, so there's only 2 inhibitors remaining. It'll be a 0-3-2 split by the looks of it here, as all 5 members of Jumping Jacks will be trying to get away from the mid lane inhibitors. Tesladome was thrown down for the wave clear. Buys a little bit of time, but they still have to deal with the left-hand side, and that's what Inata's currently dealing with at the moment, as they do crash underneath the core. Indecisive just needs to play this one patiently. Spots a call, throws down the shield slam on towards Morose, just simply reaping dashes away. That's a big ultimate going to be down for this upcoming fight.
I mean, yeah, get that kill. He was nearly dead, though, so he's basically using his ultimate to try and survive. The rest of Indecisive are just going to be focused down these inhibitors now. The middle one is going to fall. The solo side is under half as well, so that will fall momentarily, and all that is left for Jumping Jacks is the core. They have to survive for maybe 2 more minutes before that Orb Prime does go away, or at the very least they try and get a pick on a member of Indecisive to stop this siege. But who are you even going to be picking up? Because the front lines are unkillable, and Neft and Sin are playing so well in terms of spacing that it's going to be very, very hard. They are going to have to rely on that microwave combo. They're going to have to get multiple people in it for a chance, and even then it might not be enough. But here we go.
Here onto Sports Call doesn't have the ultimate. Ripwalker's play from Mancube pulls onto 2, and that Sports Call down. But the core is the real target here as the Indecisive members start to hit onto it. Tantrigo goes for the long arm of the law, but not going to be enough. Indecisive take a decisive victory in their first round of the Swiss stage. They go 1-0, and Jumping Jacks fall to an 0-1 start.
Just completely clean from the side of Indecisive. They only had 1 overextension by Neft and a few other kills during the team fights that were taken off, but only 4 deaths overall. And I mean, that's not even the biggest part. It's the farm difference coming in between the 2 teams is monumental. And Indecisive just played their comp to basically perfection. They got the advantages. Import used his presser to counter jungle Hinata as much as he could to get ahead. And as soon as those team fights, those Fangtooths were starting, it was basically over for the side of Jumping Jacks. Though obviously they have more chances to come in. This is not just a one and done deal. It is the Swiss stage. So see them later, see if they can come back against a different team. And I mean, if Indecisive starting like that, I think we're going to be seeing them again at some point.
Yeah, it's all about getting that momentum in that first round of the Swiss stage as well. As you mentioned, plenty more games to be played here. There's going to be there are 5 rounds of the Swiss stage to go, and Jumping Jacks, that is going to be a tough loss to take in game number 1, but they have some time to take back. They have been playing against one of the stronger teams here in the PCC. I don't think that's even up for debate. And this time in round 2 of the Swiss, we're playing against another team who lost in their first round as well. So a lot to look forward to, a lot more Predecessor to play as well. We're going to throw it back to the desk for the post-game breakdown.
Good luck.
Welcome back to the desk, everyone. Thank you, TJ, and thank you, Falcon. What a game 1. Jumping Jacks jumping through the hoops, but not able to shoot their shots. Indecisive coming out and going 1-0 so far in our Swiss stage. Indecisive, wow, they had such a beefy front line with Rampage and Richter against the Jumping Jacks comp. And, Lance, the desk highlighted the CS and farm difference between the 2 teams that ultimately led to Indecisive's victory. But what else happened during that game, and what were the highlights for you?
For me, Neft is enough. That man is so incredible at what he does. He was one of the first carries and players that we saw way back in PCC2 that came through and was really consistently averaging 10 plus CS a minute. I had made a comment way back then that he had gotten a degree in agriculture. The way that he was farming, it looks like he's doing his continued education and staying up to date with the current fertilizer techniques and irrigation techniques, because the man, his crops have to be sprouting the way that he farmed, and the rest of the team must be taking lessons from them as well. Almost a 200 CS gap at 17 minutes. I'm sorry if you're stealing this from you, Grady, but holy.
Yeah, that man is incredible. I really love that comment you made with him having an agricultural degree. But Mugi, what happened during that game? What went wrong for Jumping Jacks? What were the highlights for you?
Well, kind of see that here we see all the good things about Indecisive. We've seen the synergy of Import and Shin in the mid lane with this amazing early game play with the Green River buff that Ali like kind of skyrocketed. We also see that Manq, when he hit his hook with Neft, was very good. On the side of Jumping Jacks, I feel like what they need to adjust, because like we said, it's only 0-1, they still have like many chains to qualify, they just need to adjust a little bit from that game, is I feel like they put themselves in the back foot every time and they had to react to what Indecisive was doing. Starting with the draft, immediately they they had to go for picks that were like not the best, just like the not worst option at that time. And here, time and time again in that match, like then they had like, oh, we already lose Flash and the first exchange, then we don't really have any choice. Triple Sanctus, we have to be there, but we can't fight. And so all the time they were like a tempo down, and so they need to start from the next round to start to play on their own tempo and not just like letting the enemy team completely drive everything from the draft until the end of the match.
You're right. Everything was just meticulously calculated by Indecisive. And speaking of Indecisive, that is going to be one of the teams we'll be watching in game number 2 as well. So we will be watching Indecisive versus Dirty Lake and the boys. So far in our Swiss stage, they're both 1-0, but someone's going to come out with a loss in this next match. For those who are tuning in, thank you so much for all the follows, the subscriptions, and we're on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, you name it. Keep up to date with the PCC through our tournament link, !bracket, to see what's going on so far in this Swiss stage. We will be taking a quick break. We'll be right back.